Other journalists have said about other journalists, and before you know it, we've got so far separated from what is really happening that it's very, very difficult to keep abreast of the news. They set the agenda and decide who speaks, and that is of enormous importance. They won't let you, for example, look at the camera. They'll say you must look at the camera. You've got to look at the interviewer, so you become a puppet in his game, and if you look at the camera, it's much too powerful. Of course, all the major interviewers, all major presenters look at the camera, but you're not allowed to. And they have a special, what I call the BBC health warning. Before Lord Jenkins was speaking, say now in a major address to the nation, Lord Jenkins of Hillhead, whoever it was, in a wise message said this, and then Tony Benn, an extreme left-wing nutter, said this. And once you've got the health warning established, then of course they don't listen to anybody. And I think one of the problems they have is they underestimate people's intelligence. Because with state education and satellites and internet, people are much, much better informed than the guys at the top. And when I say the media and the political people are very much the same, you know, they're one part of the same outfit, they think everybody will just want to watch Celebrity Big Brother or Love Island or whatever it's called. And they're absolutely wrong. I give you a couple of examples. I did a meeting in East London the other day on housing, and I got there early, and there was a very, very scruffy woman sitting next to me. She was early too, selling a Trotskyite magazine. And I said, well, what do you do when you're not doing this? Oh, she said, I'm a gynecological surgeon at the Royal Free Hospital. And I was at Paddington the other day, and black guy clipping tickets. He came over and said, what do you do? Well, he said, I'm from the Congo. He said, I went to Moscow and did a degree in journalism at the Liverpool University. I write for the Irish Times in Dublin. I said, what do you do? Clipping tickets. Oh, he said, I'm saving up money to go back to the Congo to start a new newspaper. Now, how do you actually cope with that if we believe that people are so stupid they only want it all laid on? And I think that is a very, very serious problem they have in dealing with us, and means that they don't actually, they're not able to communicate with us in the way they think they do. Now we come to the next question, which is the attitude of the political parties to the media. Because ever since all these, I say the Americans started it, this idea that if you employ people who are expert, they will enable you to get it across. And it's so different from the early party political broadcasts. I've got a terrible archivist. I've never thrown anything in my life away. And I've got a video of Ramsay MacDonald doing a party political broadcast, and he stood there with his hands on his lapel as if it was a public meeting and just addressed. It was totally ineffective. And then when Hugh Gates was Chancellor, I was advising him, and he did the first television broadcast about the budget. And it was panic in the BBC. How do you describe the budget on television? So believe it or not, they built a great wall, which said it's the terms of trade, and then they had a ladder called productivity, and Gates was to climb up the ladder and collect the apple of prosperity from the tree of growth. And this was all they didn't know how to deal with it. And just as it began, I heard one engineer say to the other, are you lighting for or against? Which shows you all you need to know. And then you see when 9/11 did the first broadcast, I took him to Broadcasting House. And he now is a passionate speaker, public speaker, but he'd never done that. And so he insisted on a stand mic, and he walked round it and addressed it like a public meeting. And of course, Clem Attlee was even worse, because Clem was so monosyllabic, it was impossible to get anything out of him. People said that conversation should be like a game of tennis, but with Attlee it's like tossing biscuits to a dog. He'd gobble So I did the first part of the Liverpool broadcast with Clem, and it was 15 minutes long, and we put 28 questions in, thinking that would come in, polish them all off, about 11 minutes. And we were left with the rest of the broadcast, what to do. And somebody, we'd just been defeated in the 51 election, and somebody thought of a really good question. But, Mr. Attlee, isn't it true that the balance of payments is worse now than when you were in office? Which gave me an opportunity to describe the merits of Labour policy, and all said, well, that may very well be so, and then he shut up. So, you need a bit of expertise. But the problem about the expertise the parties now have is it's very, very, very expensive. And that's why the Labour conference has been turned from a meeting where people talk and discuss and decide into a trade fair, because you go to the Labour conference now, just full of trade stands, and it's treated as if it was a sort of week-long ministerial broadcast. The BBC don't broadcast what other people say, it's only ministers. It's also a very interesting conference in the sense it's the only conference in the world where they search your bag when you arrive, and they do. Not for bombs, but for political literature. I mean, Walter Wolfgang, I don't remember him, he made the Labour conference last year, and he made the best speech at the conference. Jack Straw was speaking, and he said nonsense, that's all he said. He was ushered out, interviewed under the Prevention of Terrorism, and he's now been elected to the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party, so there must be some support for his view. But you see, the whole thing is on focus groups, spin doctors, rebuttals, and the way in which ministers try to control what appears in the media. And I've had journalists tell me that when they were appointed to work for whatever it was, the World at One or Newsnight, they would get a phone call from the Labour Party wishing them well, and then later, if they put an item high enough on the bulletin that the number 10 didn't like, they would get a warning. If you go on with that, we will not be able to give you the news stories that you really want. And it is absolute threat that goes on. And journalists are tremendously threatened on the quality of journalism. I come to that, and I agree with it very, very strongly. But don't forget, they are themselves very, very tightly controlled by number 10. And of course, MPs are controlled too, because there's a computer at the Labour Party headquarters called Excalibur. And everything every MP, Labour MP has ever said is on Excalibur. It's the only place where I got coverage for my meetings, because even if they want to report it, they put it down. And then if somebody comes up to broadcast, they look on Excalibur, so we better not have him on or her on, because her views on this are unacceptable. And we get MPs, well, I don't get it anymore, because I left Parliament because I wanted a bit more